Welcome back to Chapter 3, Settling the Northern Colonies. In this video, we'll talk about conflict between the English settlers and the Native Americans. Puritans versus Indians. In 1620, the Wampanoag Indians suffered an epidemic of disease which left them unable to resist the Pilgrims as they established their settlement at Plymouth, a factor which influenced Samoset, Squanto, and other Wampanoags to befriend the settlers rather than try to resist. In 1621, Wampanoag chieftain Massasoit signed a treaty with the Pilgrims and celebrated the first Thanksgiving that fall. By 1637, years of constant encroachment by settlers on Indian land exploded into the Pico War, a war in which the English and their Narragansett Indian allies virtually annihilated the Pico tribe. Over the next 40 years, Puritans tried to Christianize the surviving Indians through missionary work conducted in praying towns, which were villages set up to teach God's word and acquaint Indians with English culture. In 1675, Massasoit's son, named Metacom, also called King Philip by the English, attempted to form a pan-Indian alliance designed to resist further English encroachment through intertribal unity. Chief Metacom's warriors, supported by the Narragansett and Nipmuc Indians, began attacks throughout New England, a sequence of battles that became known as King Philip's War. Metacom's warriors attacked 52 Puritan towns, totally destroying 12, and left approximately 1,000 colonists dead. King Philip's War finally ended after the militias of Massachusetts and other New England colonies counterattacked, killing thousands of Indians. Militiamen captured Metacom. He was beheaded, drawn, and quartered, and his head stuck on a pike, which was then put on display for years in Plymouth. King Philip's War left a lasting hatred of Indians among New Englanders and slowed westward expansion for years. The seeds of colonial unity and independence were sown during this time period as well. Prior to the Revolutionary War, there were several attempts at intercolonial unity. Most notably among them was the New England Confederation. In 1643, the Bay and Plymouth colonies joined with two Connecticut colonies, New Haven and scattered Connecticut River Valley settlements, to form the New England Confederation. The Confederation was intended to provide defense against Indian attacks and potential enemies, and to deal with intercolonial problems including runaway servants and aid in arresting criminals. The Confederation was important because it gave colonists experience in delegating authority to chosen representatives for the purpose of dealing with the aforementioned interests. The Confederation, formed during the period of England's Civil War in the 1640s, was considered necessary because the Crown was too preoccupied to deal with problems in the colonies. This period of what's called benign neglect ended with the restoration of the monarchy under Charles II in 1660. After 1660, Charles II solidified royal authority over colonial governments, starting with his granting of charters to Rhode Island and Connecticut, the Bay Colony's primary rivals. In 1676, a royal investigation into the causes of King Philip's War determined various problems in New England and smuggling to circumvent the Navigation Acts. In 1684, British authorities revoked the Bay Colony's charter. It was incorporated into the Dominion of New England 2 years later. The Dominion of New England was created to 1. Strengthen colonial defense, and 2. Provide for efficient administration of the navigation laws, which were a reflection of England's rivalries with other European powers and her desire to control the colonies more closely. And you can see the Dominion of New England stretching from Maine all the way down to what was called West Jersey during this time period. Sir Edmund Andros, the Dominion's military governor, banned town meetings except for once a year. Number 2, disregarded Puritan traditions, including keeping the Sabbath day. Number 3, invalidated land titles. Number 4, taxed people without their consent. And number 5, clamped down on colonial smuggling. By the mid-1680s, British citizens, including colonists living in the Dominion, were suffering under the despotic rule of King James II, an unpopular Catholic monarch who succeeded Charles II, who had died in 1685. In 1688 to 1689, citizens in England engineered what was called the Glorious Revolution, or the Bloodless Revolution, overthrowing James II and replacing him with Protestant Dutch-born William III and Mary of Orange. In America, news of the Glorious Revolution caused the Dominion to quickly collapse, leaving Sir Edmund Andros without royal or political support in England. Andros attempted to escape from Boston dressed as a woman, but he was caught and sent back to England. In 1691, King William and Queen Mary re-established Massachusetts as a royal colony, striking a blow at Puritanism and the political monopoly held by church members. Under its new charter, all qualified male property holders in the colony enjoyed the right to vote. England's Glorious Revolution spawned challenges to royal authority from New England to the Chesapeake region, particularly in New York and in Maryland. Once enthroned, William and Mary relaxed the tight enforcement of the Navigation Acts that were once supervised by Sir Edmund Andros, beginning a period of what's called salutary neglect. Still, Americans continued to resent English officials who remained in America as judges, clerks, custom officials, and other administrators, viewing them as incompetent, corrupt, and unconcerned about American affairs. And all of this will begin to lay the groundwork for the American Revolution.